Watching a good Disney animated movie can chase away any sadness. But did you know that if you pause some movies at the right moment, you'll see some of the funniest scenes of your life? One of the coolest Disney movies in recent years is definitely Inside Out. And if you watch the 2015 film, you might remember the scene where Fear is thrown against the control room glass and gets hit by memory balls being thrown at him. But maybe you didn't notice that when the purple emotion sticks to the glass, the face he makes is even worse than the pained expression he makes after getting hit by the balls. He looks kind of like a piece of gum that fell on the ground and got stepped on. Poor Fear. It seems he was born to feel pain. But while he suffers, I kind of feel bad for laughing at him. Do you? Just as emotions seem to have the ability to stick to glass, like Fear, other Disney characters seem to have the gift of stretching. This is basically what we see Mei Li doing right at the beginning of Turning Red, when the movie's protagonist and her friends walk past the convenience store and the girls pull the teenager's backpack. And when they do this, if you pause at the right moment, you'll see how the girl's body is pulled back while her head stays put, and Mei's neck gets a good stretch, almost making her look like a giraffe. Since this happened right at the beginning of the movie, before the girl got her red panda powers, we can definitely say it has nothing to do with her family's bloodline. It was just a very funny animation made by Disney animators so that those who paused at the right time could see this super funny scene. But it seems that the ability to stretch one's neck like this appeared long before Mei Li showed up in the Disney world. That's because none other than the king of the jungle, Tarzan himself, performed this same feat many years before. The scene in question happens when the gorilla man is saving his future wife from the wild baboons. She hooks her feet around the hero's neck, and as he moves forward, she's pulling him back, and his neck gets more and more stretched. Plus, the poor guy's eyes get completely bulged out. That must have hurt for sure, besides making me laugh a lot. Speaking of Tarzan, just before the scene where the hero's neck turns to rubber, another very funny scene happens. When Jane realizes that one of the baboons is biting her shoe, she starts hitting the animal's head with her umbrella. And the funny thing is, if you play the scene in slow motion or pause each time she hits the animal, you'll notice that the baboon's eyes get completely bulged out. But even so, he doesn't stop biting the woman's feet and ends up flying after taking about 4 or 5 hits to the head. Now moving on to Encanto, one of Disney's coolest recent movies. We also got some very funny scenes if you pause at the right time for us and the wrong time for the characters. In Luisa's song moment, at one point, Mirabel gets surrounded by several donkeys that kind of squeeze the girl, and she gets so squished between the animals that if you pause the scene at the right moment, you'll see the girl making a very funny squish face. I know you love to play, so check out this awesome Sonic toy for you to have fun with. Click the link in the first pinned comment and take it home. Another very famous scene from Disney movies is definitely the moment when Princess Anna lands a solid punch on the villain Hans's face after he tries to kill her and her sister and pretends nothing happened. Seriously, that is one of the most satisfying moments I've ever seen in an animated movie. However, if you're like me and want to enjoy this scene even more and laugh a lot, just pause the scene at the right moment and you'll literally see Anna's hand going into the villain's face in a way you'd never notice if you watch the scene normally. Tell me, isn't it even more satisfying to see this scene that way? Hans's face gets completely deformed by the punch Anna throws at him. It was still not enough compared to everything he did, but it definitely gives us a good laugh.
Perfect.
But if Anna was responsible for making Hans's face look that funny, we also have to remember the scene where the Queen of Arendelle herself made a hilarious face. This happened in the famous accident scene involving the two sisters when they were still children. When Anna jumps and Elsa slips and ends up hitting her younger sister's face, if you pause at the right moment, you'll see the princess's face mixed with the ice magic, forming an image that is hard to decipher whether the little girl was in pain or laughing. Plus, it looks like there's a bunch of blue snow magic coming out of the girl's mouth at the same time. This is definitely a serious scene, and I shouldn't have paused it, but now that I have, I can't stop thinking that Anna was sneezing. At least, that's how I imagine a magical sneeze. Another scene I accidentally discovered while watching one of my favorite Disney movies that makes no sense at all happens in Zootopia. When Nick manages to escape from the train car with Judy and shows the bunny the briefcase, the character gets so happy that she gives the fox character a little punch on the arm. And if you pause the scene at the right moment, just before the punch, you'll notice that just before the police officer does this, her arm gets twisted in such a way that it looks like she's made of rubber or actually turned the other way. And in addition, if you pause exactly at the moment when Judy touches Nick's arm, you might even get scared because Nick makes a crazy fox face for a millisecond. For a moment, I thought that he had been hit by the formula the deputy mayor made to make the carnivores go wild again. Phew! Good thing it was just a quick scene. Speaking of scenes where the characters make crazy faces, the restaurant scene in The Incredibles 2 definitely could not be left out. It happens when Dash, Mr. Incredible, and Violet enter the diner and sit at a table. Then, a waiter comes over and fills their glasses with water. Violet is drinking the water when she realizes that the guy serving her is the boy from school that she's into. And at that moment, one of the funniest pause scenes in Disney that I've ever seen happens, because if you pause at the right moment, you'll catch this. We see the Incredible's daughter with her eyes completely bulging out and slightly cross-eyed, looking in two directions at once, all while a stream of water shoots out of her nose. Seriously, I love this image so much. Whenever I'm sad, it makes me laugh a lot. If you really love cartoons, we have some incredible news for you. We've launched a new quiz channel. In it, we'll test our knowledge about our favorite cartoons and movies like Bluey, Peppa Pig, and many others. It will be a journey full of challenges, laughter, and lots of fun with Wavy. Don't waste any time. Subscribe now at the link in the description or point your camera at the QR code on the screen and start playing. I'll see you there. Now let's go back in time to one of Disney's most famous movies of the 90s, Hercules, where we also find a scene that if you pay close attention, you'll notice it's hilarious. In one part of the movie, Hades' two minions, the enemies of Zeus's son, are sent by the villain and transform into a female version of Pegasus. They lure the winged horse to a location and reveal their true form to the animal, which had already fallen for the female of its species. However, as soon as he realizes that it's all fake and the pink Pegasus splits in half, turning into two little devils, the face the horse makes is simply hilarious. The mythical creature's eyes just pop out of their sockets, while its mouth opens wide. This is definitely one of the best made funny faces in the history of Disney animated movies. But what's even funnier is that in the next scene, we notice another very amusing detail. As we mentioned, the pink Pegasus was actually a disguise for Hades' two minions. And when they reveal their true forms, if you pause at the right moment, you'll notice that the pink Pegasus eyes get even more bulged out than Hercules' Pegasus, and its face gets even funnier. In fact, if you watch it in slow motion, you'll see the creature making the creepiest face in an animated cartoon, with its eyes growing and shrinking in a very funny way. Although it's a bit scary, it's still very funny. In Luca, the Disney movie set in Italy that tells the story of two fish boys who disguise themselves as humans, we also find a very funny scene that you may never have noticed. When Luca and Alberto are at Giulia's house for dinner, eating pasta made by her father, the boys are in trouble because they've never used cutlery before. So Alberto grabs the pasta with his hands and throws it in his mouth. But if you pause at the moment he does this, you'll see the character with his mouth completely to the side while looking at Giulia's father. I laughed so hard when I saw this for the first time, especially because Alberto is my favorite character in this movie. To wrap up our list, let's talk about one more scene from Encanto, and once again involving Mirabel. When she finds her Uncle Bruno living in the house's walls, she discovers he's a bit eccentric, and at one point, he throws some salt over his shoulder, hitting her right in the face. At the exact moment this happens, the scene becomes very funny, and the face Mirabel makes is really hilarious, as if she had eaten some of the salt. Poor Mirabel. I even felt bad for her in this part of the movie.
I love it even more.
Our list has ended, but you can still have fun with us here, so we've left these two very cool videos for you to watch as soon as this one ends. Just click on the one you prefer and enjoy.